How strong are the top European teams going into Pmgc 2025? Let's take a look. These videos will be short breakdowns of the top teams from every major region for Pmgc. I'll briefly go over their rosters, their play styles, strengths and weaknesses. I'll be covering each region one by one so you can clearly understand what the top teams from every region look like heading into Pmgc. For this video, we'll focus on the European region. The teams from this region are Regnum Carya, Ulf Esports, Carya Esports, Falcons, Papara Supermassive and Boars Gaming. And in my opinion, the strongest teams among them are Regnum Carya, Ulf Esports and Falcons. So let's talk about them. Starting with Ulf Esports. Their roster consists of Ketch as the IGL, along with Soulless, Scarface and Eren. They qualified for the gauntlet after an impressive second place finish in PMSL Europe. This org signed the roster that previously played under Fireflux. And if you remember in PMWC earlier this year, that Fireflux absolutely dominated the survival stage. Ketch, Scarface and Soulless are the true OGs of PUBG Mobile esports. They've been competing since 2019 and even today, they are still dominating their region and showing strong performances on the global stage. Then there's their fourth player, Eren. He completely stole the spotlight in the same PMWC. Back then, he was playing for IDA and he played the biggest role in helping his team qualify directly to the Grand Finals. Now talking about their game style, this team is entirely elimination oriented. Their approach, their intent, their mindset is pure aggression. They constantly play for high elimination games, which often gives them double-digit finishes. But this also leads to inconsistency in their placement points. Now 2025 has been solid for these players. For Ketch, Scarface and Soulless, a second place in PMSL Spring followed by a 14th place finish in PMWC Grand Finals with Fireflux. For Eren, third place in PMSL Spring followed by 11th place finish in PMWC with IDA. Now with these four players combined, three highly experienced veterans and a young mechanical beast, Ulf Esports is definitely up for something special in PMGC. Next we have Falcons. The roster has Rauf as the IGL, Koa, Redox and Nervalo. They qualified for the PMGC group stage through Western Europe points. The start of 2025 was actually amazing for this lineup. Back then, Koa wasn't a part of this team and these players were playing under Nigma Galaxy. They entered the Global Open as the runners-up in the spring season. After that, the lineup was picked up by Team Falcons and that's when Koa joined the squad. And right after that move, Falcons dominated their region in PMSL, finishing first and securing their slot in PMWC. But this is where the struggle starts. Falcons barely made it to the grand finals of PMWC, and even in the finals, they couldn't show the performance everyone expected. They finished at the 10th place in the overall standings. Then in PMSL Fall, things were slightly better, but fans still believe this roster is capable of much more. If it wasn't for the 30-point last game bomber, they wouldn't have reached the 4th place at all. Now about their game style. Aggressive, elimination focused and they are also fairly consistent in placements. But the main problem for this team is the end game decision making. Their approach in the late game doesn't help them convert good games into wins. They set up early, they take the fights, they get the kills, but closing the game is where they are struggling. And if Falcons fix their end game approach, they immediately become a top tier threat in this PMGC. And now finally, we have Regnum Carya. The roster has Silas as the IGL, Loxy, Wild and Z-Wolf, qualifying for the gauntlet after an incredible first place in PMSL. Right now, they are the #1 team in the world, one of the biggest fan favorites going into PMGC and also one of the strongest contenders for the trophy. 2025 has been nothing but impressive for this lineup. They won the Global Open in spring, then finished 4th in PMSL Spring to qualify for PMWC, followed by a 5th place finish in the World Cup. And most recently, they finished 1st in PMSL Fall to secure their PMGC slot. Now after PMWC, Z-Wolf joined the squad and this move changes a lot. Z-Wolf is widely regarded as one of Turkey's best assaulters and he gives Silas the firepower needed to execute the Day 3 trophy push strategy I talked about in my recent post, which needs to be countered. Silas tried that same strategy earlier this year as well, but it didn't work back then because the gunpowder wasn't enough. Now with Z-Wolf, that strategy becomes a lot more easier to pull off. Now talking about their game style, Regnum Carya is a proper central control team. Silas loves playing center zone and the team is extremely good at defending their position. They are not elimination focused like most of their European rivals. They play pure survival. Play safe, hold zone, avoid unnecessary fights. That's why you will see scoreboards like #1 or #2 with only 2 or 3 eliminations. Because they stay calm, stay in the game and keep themselves in the top contention in the first 2 days. The real strategy starts on day 3. Day 1 and day 2, they just play the natural game. Hold center, avoid risk, stay in top 5. But in day 3, Silas pulls the trigger and go for that big jump. He tried this exact plan in Pmgc as well, but it didn't work because the finishing power wasn't enough. Now, with 3 of Turkey's best assaulters in one roster, Silas can execute this with perfection. And this is where Z-Wolf becomes the key. He is basically the trump card for this entire game plan. So if teams want to counter Regnum Carya, they need to keep eyes on Z-Wolf, and they need to prevent Regnum Carya from getting those consistent placement points in the first 2 days.